Hello and welcome to the Paranormal Nut Podcast. We are your hosts, Sean and Jim, and it's been a while. We've missed you. We've been out hunting ghosts, but we haven't sat down and had a nice episode for a while. This one has been brought to us by our beloved Jim. So if you want to tell me what's going on, what is the topic of today's episode?
Of course, Sean, I'd love to tell everybody. So we're going to start out with what I like to call Jim's little tidbits.
Ooh, tidbits? I love some big old tidbits.
Right. Next, we're going to jump into everybody's favorite. So we're going to talk about aliens, right? Not just aliens, though.
Oh?
Interdimensional aliens.
Oh, see, I mean, they are still aliens because they're foreign to our dimension. So they're still aliens, just
exactly
different realm.
It's a more realistic alien because logistics aren't involved. They just teleport, right?
I mean, it depends. You have to define logistics in that standpoint, but you know. Anyway, and then what else you got for us?
And so at the end, I picked 3 UAP videos that Sean has not seen yet.
Ooh, we're doing reactions again?
We're doing reactions again.
Nice. It's been a while. Stick around for that. Reactions are the best part of the show.
They are.
All right. So give me a tidbit, Jim.
All right. So there have been advancements in AI technology when it comes to communicating with extraterrestrials.
Oh.
So basically, there's been like radio waves that come through, and so as people doing it manually, like humans, they're unable to like break everything down,
like filter it and search through it,
filter it and see what's actually coming through. And so they have this AI program that actually finds it and breaks everything down. And I actually found it kind of interesting because they actually built something to talk to extraterrestrials.
You know, when AI came for, the data entry jobs, I said nothing. When AI came for, the artists, I said nothing. But when they come for the paranormal investigators, that's when I'm going to stand up. We have to shut AI down.
We draw the line in the sand.
When you're taking my job,
they took your jobs.
Anyway, go on. Sorry, I'm just dealing with the,
just getting our jobs taken by robots.
Yeah, it's anyway. Not that I actually do that for NASA, so they're probably or not NASA, SETI. Is it SETI using it?
It's SETI. Yep.
Honestly, if I was smart, I would work at SETI if I had a choice in the matter. But I'm here on YouTube instead.
Exactly. This is better. It's more fun.
Yeah, exactly. And do you really want me in charge of being the first person to be like, oh yeah, these are aliens. Here you go, Mr. President.
Got alien drugs? Hold up a sign.
Aliens would have the best drugs.
They probably would. Yeah. You've seen Rick and Morty.
Don't do alien drugs.
Yeah. Stay in school, kids. Drugs are bad. All right. So I think with that, my little tidbit, I think it's time to...
Has anything come out of that yet, or is it still just in the works?
Oh yeah, they were able to decipher 8 different communications, but they weren't able to actually tell if it was extraterrestrial or not.
Yeah, I mean those things you're dealing with not full on 100%. This is alien.
Yeah, it's like, I mean,
until you know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the theory of aliens is like a stretch for a lot of people. Not for me. I love aliens.
Yeah, well, it's not the stretch. It's just when you're working in that field where you're doing it by the numbers and you're saying this is objectively an alien signal. There's a lot of if you're presenting that in a official forum of types, you have to bring every single you have to bring the A game. You have to bring the facts. You have to bring the knowledge. You're not coming on the Paranormal Nut podcast and explaining to people what aliens are.
Exactly.
There's a smaller, higher tier, if you will, just a bit, just like one or two steps,
a tidbit.
A tidbit. Anyway, do we have how many tidbits do we have, Jim?
That was the only one.
Oh, okay. Hey,
That was the
it's a good
only.
tidbit.
It is a
I
good
normally
tidbit.
like my tidbits in pairs, but one
Yeah,
tidbit
I'll
works.
get another one next time.
All right. Get off my back, okay?
Get off my back, woman.
Jeez. Um, all right. So I guess that leads into the main topic.
The main topic: interdimensional aliens. Boom, 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 boom.
Are we raving to interdimensional? Actually, if there was anything to rave with, it would be interdimensional aliens.
My
And that's
question.
well, go ahead.
I got a question for you, Sean.
I got an answer.
What if the strange lights that we've been seeing for thousands of years aren't actually from a different planet, Sean?
So I feel like this is a rhetorical question, but I'll answer it as if it wasn't rhetorical. It doesn't change anything because it's not the fact that these beings come from another planet. It's the fact that they are separate, intelligent life. And
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing. That's what makes it amazing. I mean,
But
I don't think anyone's saying it's less amazing.
Well, what do you think in your eyes when it comes to interdimensional and like cross universe alien, right? What do you
Yeah.
think would be the bigger feat? Traveling across the universe or traveling across a dimension?
I think traveling across the universe, because we're just dealing on scales and size, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where, I mean, this kind of goes into what you were saying about AI and stuff and talking with or searching signals and stuff. We're doing stuff with quantum computers, which I know isn't really AI, but a lot of AI will be using quantum computers in the future. That, like, and forgive me if I get this wrong a bit, but the way a quantum computer works, it does several calculations at once, and there's some theoretical, or maybe not even theoretical, there's some thought process that those calculations are all happen in the same qubit simultaneously in different dimensions.
Mm.
So we're almost like kind of dealing with that stuff already.
Yeah.
So I think like traveling dimensionally might be something that is more accessible than traveling through vast quantities of space. And I'm not trying to steal your thunder here.
Oh, you knew what I was about to do. You knew what I was about to tip on. Go ahead, say it.
No, I don't. I'm just rattling off what's in my head. So, what were you going to say?
Oh no, I was. Well, remember when I brought up logistics of it?
Yes.
Like
yeah.
how much it would take. What would you need to be able to have a craft that could travel without stopping? How much fuel? I mean, what kind of fuel? You see what I'm getting at? Like I mean, for us,
you would have to have something that didn't work off of what we know as fuel, right? You would need an energy source. Currently, we use combustible fuel, right?
Yeah.
But you would need something that can accelerate and decelerate you, an energy source that can do that. And a lot of people say you do that. I mean, we've I don't know if we've brought this up on the show, but we've definitely talked about 0 point energy before.
Yeah.
Or harnessing like nuclear fission and stuff like that. But still, even the only way we know how to travel with nuclear fission doesn't really work in space. Or
well,
not fission,
wasn't there just an experiment about that where it was actual fusion? They actually, or was it? Wait, fission? No,
fission is what we do. Fusion is what we're trying to obtain.
Fusion. They were actually able in a small scale
to go 1 for 1 with power in,
but
power out.
it wasn't 1 for 1. It was like 1, and it gave us a 1.000 like 3 or something, random.
Yeah, and that's amazing. Like that, the fact that we can do that, and I wonder because obviously that's counterintuitive to our standard model of physics, right?
Yeah.
As far as I know, at the high school education, and then just being a general geek and looking at things my entire life, because I'm wondering, like, you're losing some. I don't know. You have to be losing something somewhere, and I just don't
Yeah.
know if they're accounting for it. Granted, the people that are working on this know more than me about it, so we'll see. I mean, these things take time. I'm sure we'll get more details in the years to come, and we'll hear, oh, they got 1.2, and then they got 2% more, and then next thing you know, will be free
And
energy for everyone,
then
and
we're
they'll get
able to.
assassinated by the car companies, or the fuel companies,
Then we're using 100% of one for all.
right?
Sorry, I'm a weeb. I had to throw an anime thing in there.
Listen.
So my question is, so we've been doing a lot of paranormal investigation, and we've been talking about some theories. Like when we go out there, there's like weird things that happen. Like when we were at Ida's tree, right?
Yeah.
We heard it said demon, right?
Yeah.
But not in a way of like, oh my god, it's a demon. It was like
It wasn't like,
demon, like
I am demon. It was like someone going, demon? Or something like that.
yeah, like not surprised, but just like questioning, like almost like a questioning kind of tone when it came
Mm-hmm.
over the spirit box. Um,
So what I equate that to is like time slippage, which would be
mhm,
a bending of dimensions. Like
mhm.
I don't consider that as um so let me back up because there's probably a bit left unsaid there, right? I believe that EVP or that spirit box hit may have been time slippage. So Civil War soldiers, or maybe not even Civil War, just some other people in that part of, in that place, right? Because how do we define dimensions, right? Point, distance, then you have a location, and then
Yeah.
time, right? And so we've kind of circumvented the time in that situation, and now it's just whatever was at that location. Um, we may have touched on that and kind of thinned the veil and maybe poked into um, some, to the past. Now, is
Oh
that
yeah.
what definitively happened? No. And these things are theoretical and, all up in the air, and who knows what we're actually dealing with. But that's not the same as interdimensional travel that I think you're trying to get into, right?
No, it's not. It's not the same. But I mean, if a voice can travel through a dimension, I mean, I think that's
That's
kind of close.
information, right?
Yeah, information can travel. So I mean that's the first step. Now the next step is, can we travel? And that's why I brought that up.
Yeah. I mean, think about it, right? So, and I think there's some breaking news studies out there how um, we are learning to like capture smells, I believe it was, and like translocate those, kind of like how we're right now, me and you are communicating with photons that are traveling through the internet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously audio as well. So right, we're able to transport two of our senses, right? And there's some devices out there that maybe you can transmit touch as well. Well, but that's not for this
That's for the
podcast.
weirdos. No, I'm just kidding.
That's for the only nuts. No, but like right, okay. So if you can transport uh, photon, you can transport sight, you can transport sound, you can transport touch. Now, are we in theoretically we're about to transport smell, right? Are we about to get what's it, taste division or whatever from Willy Wonka? Or no, that was smell-o-vision, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
smell-o-vision.
But anyway, these are all transmitting senses and information
Yeah.
over distance, which is a dimension, which we've mastered traveling distance. Well, not mastered it, but that's how our brains work. We are able to function in this three-dimensional space.
Oh yeah.
So we're doing all that stuff. Now, how do we get our consciousness to travel, right? That's the next one, right? I mean, oh, and taste.
Well,
We gotta get taste in there as well. But.
I mean, you talking about that? I mean, hasn't Elon Musk talked about uploading your consciousness to a computer?
Yeah, and that's not originally an Elon Musk thing.
Well,
I'll
I mean,
give him
that
credit for whatever, but
he says he's working on it.
yeah, that's been kind of the end all be all of a lot of scientists and a lot of dorks and geeks, right? Because it kind of wrestles with death, right? If we can transcend our consciousness out of the mortal body, then we could technically upload it to a computer probably and live. And is that living? Is that just a copy? And that's all that.
And that's what I was going to ask. So it was like, so with the upload consciousness, is that actually you, or is that just a copy of you?
So that's we have to define what you are first, and these get into big questions, right? Because I think most people agree that teleportation is terrifying if it's done without a wormhole, right?
Yeah.
Where you're like scanned, copied, and deleted and paste, right? Copy and paste. Well, what happens to the original text? It gets deleted, right? And most people go, no, that's not you. And I think what you are, in my interpretation, is a continuation of past information, right? You are the subset of all the information received and all the information given out of a one being, right? So if you were to get copied, cut, and then pasted, that information has been destroyed. Something new replaces it that's like a simulacrum of you, like a copy, but it's not you. And you can say that's day one for them. But
yeah.
Now I would apply this. So that's because my mind or my perception is all physical, right? Now, what does that mean for the soul, consciousness, all that jazz? Is it impermeable? Like, can we get to a point where I think the very Judeo-Christian belief of the soul is something that's very immutable, that can't be drifted out of your body until your time's coming, right? But I think a lot of people conflate soul and consciousness as one. I'm not sure if that's the case.
Yeah.
But then you start looking into astral projection, where people can move their consciousness, around, like remote viewing and all that stuff. But to be able to capture that and store that, would that be, to me, that almost sounds like a prison.
Yeah.
Granted, a very fancy prison with more information than you can ever want. And then you start getting into, well, if we can upload consciousness into a computer, is that just not simulation theory?
That's true.
So
are we changing topics now?
I mean,
we go into the Matrix theory.
Yeah, right. Everything touches everything, and we've I think we talked about this with Bill. I don't know if it was on air or afterwards, but the more everyone has a small piece of the entire puzzle, but no one has the entire picture.
Yeah.
And everyone's wrong somehow. And to think that you are more right than somebody else is probably the most ignorant and egotistical thing you could do, and especially in this field when things are so subjective.
Oh yeah.
So,
but I am right.
But we are right.
We're right.
That's you guys. You're wrong. We're right. Just to clarify.
Exactly.
I mean, we're on a not just any two guys can get together and start a podcast.
That's what I'm saying.
Right. This takes effort and work. Anyway.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
I'm not editing this episode. Speaking of work. Anyway, I'm editing Hunts, okay? Don't come at me.
I'm coming at you.
Ooh.
Or on you. I'll cut that out.
That's no.
I'll leave it. All right. So there's a lot of theories to go on when it comes to dimensions, right? there is what a planet or the negative dimension where it's just it's literally us, but just a little different, like Bizarro World.
Okay, well, let me kind of, before you go off on your tangent, let me kind of follow what you're saying. So you're kind of going parallel worlds theory. Is that what you're saying?
That is close to. I mean, I'm just jumbling it all into one kind of, just because it's
Yeah,
all
well,
like,
I mean, there's different distinctions, right? And I think it's clear we make those distinctions before we conflate things, because everything might be conflated. We don't know. But from what my understanding, there's kind of, I actually like to think of it as well, that's my thing's a different thing opposed to what you're about to say. Whereas, there's a different version of this world, and that's the dimension. Because when I was originally talking about this, I was kind of going up in dimension, right? Where
like
your
going up to
conscious
like fourth
transcends.
dimension, fifth dimension, sixth.
Yeah, and where you're becoming more almost like
Godlike.
godlike in those
Yeah.
dimensions. So you're kind of going, instead of heightening, you're going parallel.
Well, I mean,
in
I'm
this
just
abstract
trying to
space.
talk about everything,
Yeah, I'm saying specifically when you say people are slightly different than us, you're talking about something that's parallel.
Yeah,
opposed
like
to higher.
you see when people talk, like they talk about like CERN with the collider going off, right? When they created element X, right? They said when it went off, the butterfly effect, or is it the Mandela effect? No, it's not. Same thing.
Well, no,
No,
but yes. So many
Slut.
worlds theory. What is it? It's parallel worlds, many worlds, but where there exist several different universes of our world, but like it's the Bernstein Bears or the Bernstein Bears, or
It's Onyx.
the cornucopia exists in the Fruit of the Loom logo.
So it's Onyx spelled with a Y instead of an I.
Wait, what?
How do you spell Onyx? Like the Pokemon.
ONXY.
No, it's I. It's actually I. Everybody look it up.
Nope. No, I'm not going to, because it is with a Y, and that's it.
I thought the same thing.
Checkmate, world government controlling me.
World government. Boom.
Whatever. Boom. I'm definitely not looking it up right now.
Yeah, he's definitely not doing that. He wouldn't do that.
No,
I'm actually watching porn right now.
Oh, no, you want to know why? Because actual onyx, the stone has a Y in it. But anyway, I'm not trying to dismiss. I think there's a lot more convincing arguments for.
Well, yeah, no, I'm saying this is something like he told me about it, and I was like, no, it's spelled with a Y. And he was like, no, look it up. Everybody was like, and then he asked every single person at work, and they had the same answer. They're like, oh, it's spelled with a Y.
So that's kind of the and then there might be a paradigm shift where certain groups of people and regions shift to another dimension, or we
got knocked off track, kind of like what dimension we were in, and we kind of got knocked into a different parallel.
Yeah, and these things typically be culture or region based because of it. So a lot of people will go. I think a lot of people in South America specifically, and this is where the theory gets its name, were like, no, Nelson Mandela. I don't even know if he died, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah, he died.
There's one interpretation that he died in jail, and that's I think it could be wrong. A big group of people.
I know he was in jail, but I don't, because he became president before he went to jail. After he went to jail. Sorry.
Yeah, but there's a bunch of people who believed that he died in jail.
Oh.
Yeah,
I didn't.
And I could be misquoting it. I don't have it pulled up, but that's the basic concept where different people are being shifted in and out of very similar universes. And that dates back to people believe that all kind of shattered or was put in flux um, when the CERN collider started up.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing I would argue, because the collider started up in what, the 60s? Or
I think when they actually
you're
said
talking about
that.
the Large Hadron, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
LHC.
yeah. I think it's when they found
That was in
element X.
2008.
Yeah,
The
when they
first.
found element X for the first time, which was it was just like a molecule of it that they were
Yeah.
able to find.
So, yeah, the Large Hadron Collector. Can't talk. The Large Hadron Collider.
Mm-hmm.
First test operation was September 10th, 2008. So we have facts.
We have facts. Internet. I'm telling you.
But
Look it up, guys.
Look it up. So, now what I was about to get into before I wanted to make sure you got all that stuff out
Mm-hmm.
is I think there's a different name for it, but I kind of mentally interpret it as like the action hero theory. Right. So an action hero will always survive the most improbable explosion scene, event, and like they have plot armor, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So this one is a very comforting kind of theory where your consciousness will always experience it surviving, right? So if there's kind of this many worlds theory, right? And we all exist on several different worlds at once, and our consciousness is experiencing all of them all at once. And then what happens is, as you go through life, things happen where you would die, or or you would narrowly escape. Like a car accident happens, and one you survive, one you don't. Your consciousness no longer exists there anymore. So the moment you die,
It comes.
like it doesn't. Yeah, it just and it collects in a
So you
version
have
of
these
the.
random memories.
Well, it's not even that. I don't. It doesn't get into the whole like different world stuff.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just therefore you will never experience your death, and you will always live out to. Well, I don't know if you'll never experience your death, but the idea is that you will always live to the most optimal version of yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And that's kind of comforting. Oh my
That,
god, there's got to be. I want to credit where I heard this. Action hero.
that almost sounds like that theory. It's when they say you are a god yourself in training base, not training, but like growing up, and you have to hit a certain amount of lifetimes to get that enough experience to go beyond the next level of
Yeah.
consciousness. Yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Nah, I can't find anything. I have to. I want to say I heard this when I was very young from like cracked TV or something like that.
Oh, I see.
I don't
I
know.
thought you were about to say a crackhead. I was like,
No. Hey, listen. If a crackhead tells you something,
you
listen.
Exactly.
9.9 times out of 10, it's nothing. It's nonsense. But that one time,
That
it's
one
still
time.
nothing. But it's entertaining. All right, I can't find anything. So, is there any other facets to interdimensional? I know we've talked a bit about with Irene, and again when we talked to Array,
hmm
his was kind of like more the spiritual version of interdimension, but almost like realms, if you will. Where and then Irene's was more that kind of higher level of consciousness.
Yeah, yeah, the star seed where it's like you know
Yeah.
you go to any dimension and you're reborn, right? But you have full like consciousness of what you are, where you were from,
Hmm.
stuff like
And
that.
that goes into the building up to be a god thing that you were talking
Yeah.
about. And I know when you look at some, so this kind of aliens are interdimensional being thing kind of leans into cryptids as well, because I know a lot of people say Bigfoot is an interdimensional being, and that's how he's able
Mm-hmm.
to disappear. And I think you have a few other examples as well.
Mothman.
Mothman. Okay, now see, Mothman to me is a harbinger of doom, and you can't change my mind. But I will allow you to try, so you can fail. Explain to me
I'm
why
just.
Mothman is an interdimensional alien.
I mean, he appears out of nowhere, chase cars, and then vanishes.
I mean, so does a lot of people on CCTV
And crackheads.
and crackheads. Never
Maybe
seen
they're
them before in my
interdimensional.
life.
Maybe they're interdimensional, Sean.
Listen, they've been telling us the truth the entire time. I don't know what the truth was, and I wasn't listening to them because I don't make eye contact with those people because I'm scared and I walk away very fast. But I'm sure they were telling me something important.
Oh, exactly. My next thing. So we talked about portals before in our investigations.
Yep.
Where do you when it comes to portals? Do you think do you think it's a bunch of crap, or do you think it's like something that's plausible that a random portal opens up and it like lets information come through?
So I don't think of portals or like wormholes or Stargate SG-1 dial the gate kind of thing, right? The
Yeah.
way, and especially from somebody who dives more into ghosts more frequently than aliens, I would say. Um, for me, a portal is like a thinning of the veil. And
Mm-hmm.
is that veil spiritual or is it interdimensional? And that's kind of what we're talking about here. Where if it was kind of like a permeable net that like smaller fish can get through, and the weaker the net is, bigger fish can get through, kind of deal.
Yeah.
Um, at certain spots, you know,
Sachs Bridge.
Sachs Bridge could be all of Gettysburg,
Yeah,
all of
all of it.
Gettysburg, right?
I mean,
And
Sachs
there,
Bridge. It's got a
yeah,
ley line right there, which is just anything running underground is a lane line. So you guys know, we learned that from Bill.
yeah, and that is an interpretation. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I'm not going to say Bill's wrong.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I think things running underground are sources of power, but and I could be completely mistaken on what a ley line is. But when I think of ley lines, I specifically think
Like spiritual
of
power running through
yeah,
a
a
specific
source
area.
of a source of nets, if you will. And you can kind of all picture like connecting certain areas and lines
Yeah.
crossing across the globe, and then certain areas being at intersecting ley lines. I don't think, but I could be wrong, but I don't think anything on the ground is a ley line, but it could be. I mean, if a ley line is a source of power, then sure, yes. But I think there's two different things. I think there are sources of power, which could be, lightning in the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
There could be running water, crystal minerals, and stuff like that in the ground. And I believe that there could be still a thinning of the veil. And when you have those two in
In combination
conjunction,
with everything. Yeah.
that's when stuff pops off. I know, like, and I really need to dive more into Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah.
Um,
I was about to
but
bring Skinwalker Ranch up, actually.
yeah, and when it comes to mind, when I think of like desecrated or evil areas, that's the one that comes to mind. Um, and I think Gettysburg. I think an area can become now. Okay, does an area become corrupted, or I mean, not necessarily corrupted? It could be good things, I suppose. We just have a negative bias when it comes to things like that. No one's looking for the happy ghost, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, but
I am.
or are these places already powerful because of, like I said, ley lines or sources of power nearby? And
Mm-hmm.
then when intent is put upon those lands, like a war, like Gettysburg, or maybe it was the site of like some weird cult that was slaughtering innocent people for years and goes undiscovered until, like, and whatever. And I'm not referencing a specific point. That was just something I made up, but I'm sure there's stories like that.
I mean, let's go to Jim Jones Island. Let's see if there's any ghosts there.
Yeah. And we kind of had this conversation offline. Like, we always talk about like preserving historic buildings. And this is going way off course, but why not?
It's all right. That's what the podcast is for, buddy.
Yeah. We talk about how we want these buildings to stay as long as they can, because you don't want it to live in a world without haunted buildings. But people are people, and haunted buildings are a result of typically tragedy, and there will always be people doing tragic stuff in buildings. And so like it'd be fun, and maybe we can do this as an episode one day where we can speculate future haunted locations based off
that'd be
of
interesting.
Yeah. Don't steal that from us unless you do, but then just make a cool video that I can watch.
Yeah, that we can watch and then copy back off of you and make our own.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, interdimensional beings, Jim.
Interdimensional beings, baby.
Now, I believe you have some videos you want me to react to?
I think I do.
Ooh. All right. Well, I have the access to play them, but I have not seen them yet. So you just labeled them 1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
I guess that's the order we're going to watch them in. So
yes,
if you wanted them played differently, now's your time. But all right. Sure. Play this down here. Pause. Go live. Playing live. So this is definitely artificially brightened.
Yeah. They do have the regular one, but I just wanted so people could actually see it.
Yeah, I'm gonna play that again.
So
he's shocked.
What does that remind you of?
I mean, any flying V shape reminds me of the Phoenix Lights, right?
Yes.
I think the thing about the flying V, though, it wasn't as big in motion, and it was just kind of hovering, and that's why people say they think it was flares.
Yeah. Well, this one, you actually see it flying.
That is definitely movement. It kind of almost looks like it's falling, but then also, I know in the 80s and 90s, a lot of people out of Area 51 specifically said when they saw triangle lights, the government comes out 20 years later and goes, no, that was just was it not the B? Is it the B-2 bomber?
It's a stealth bomber.
Yeah, the stealth bomber.
Yeah.
But it's how many stealth bombers are really just flying over? Do we know where this video takes place?
It takes place in LA, October 31st, 2024. So just a couple weeks ago.
Oh, so this is recent. That was just some celebrity's elaborate Halloween costume.
Yeah, exactly.
They were the Phoenix Lights for Halloween.
They were the Phoenix Lights that year.
Yeah. All right. I think it's hard these days, man, with AI and drones. I don't think that was AI, but that could easily be drones.
Yeah.
But
well,
I mean,
it flew so.
It looks very far away. It flows so fast, but the problem is perspective. Anytime that you're looking at the sky and you see lights or a plane, technically, you have no reference to know how big that is.
Yes.
Granted, when we see a plane, we generally know the size of a commercial airplane or a helicopter and things like that. So the predisposed information about how big that plane is in our head when we're judging distances. But when we're looking at a light that we don't know the size, or a grouping of lights to maybe a unknown structure, unknown flying saucer, if you will, or an unidentified aerial phenomenon, there is no mathematical way, there's no real way for you to actually gauge how far it is without some sort of reference point. And that's a big thing when it comes to UFOs, because people are like, oh, it was moving so fast. Well, was it? Or was it just closer to you than you thought it was?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. Because the further away it is, it's going to look like it's going slow. The closer it is, it's going to just zip by.
Yep. So, I mean, I'm going to say it's real. There's definitely something there. Is it a drone? Probably not. Is it a plane? I don't think so. But to say it's I mean, yeah, sure,
Is
it's
it
unidentified.
now? Is it extraterrestrial, or is it
That's
something reverse engineered by the government?
Yeah, or is it just just something we created ourselves? Right? There's always the how far ahead is military technology to civilian technology, right?
Now, my thing, I always laugh when you see they're like, you see UFO in the sky and you see the lights. Why do aliens need lights? You know what I mean?
Shut it down, Jim. Shut it down.
Shut it
No,
down. We know too much.
So, and there are thought processes that they are generally trying to communicate to certain people or entities with those lights.
Yeah.
I recall there was this video floating around not too long ago, and maybe we can bring it up for another episode or something, where people saw like a floating orange ball or whatever, and so they took like a laser pointer and pointed it at it, and then like it immediately changed the color of the laser pointer or something, and then like sent a laser pointer back somehow. I can't remember the exact specifics, but I remember this being a big thing.
I would be scared.
Yeah, and it seemed to react to whatever. First of all, safety reasons, don't point lasers
at things in anything. The sky,
because if that is an airplane and you happen to like flash a pilot's eyes or something, God forbid, or hit a sensor, that's probably the biggest thing. You might hit a sensor, and that sensor might get burnt or something, or just uncalibrated, which then could cause a lot of problems. Especially with some of these high-powered lasers.
Isn't it illegal to shine a laser in the sky?
Yeah. It is. Very illegal.
Especially those like green ones.
And then, more recently, there were a lot of... this isn't even aliens. There's a company right now that's going around with planes that is 3D mapping like all of America. And you'll like see like fucking just like a green line go across the ground. I don't know if they're plane. Yeah, I think it's planes, and they're doing like back and forths. So like for a few days, like people are like, why we're being attacked by aliens? Someone's like, there's green lasers like pointed down, and I don't know the legality of this, but somebody's out there 3D mapping. A company is out there 3D mapping like cities. So
I feel like that's not legal. I mean,
right? I don't know. I don't know enough about the law to say it is, but also it could be like a shell. It could also be a shell corporation for the U.S. government, and the U.S. government wants like perfectly rendered 3D modeling of each city for national defense purposes, right?
True.
So,
or it could be aliens.
The inverse. It could be a foreign entity, whether that entity be aliens or humans, that are acting against the interest of the United States. But
China.
Yeah, well, I guess before I rattle off another theory, we'll open number 2, right?
Exactly.
I'm sure this is gonna, give me a bunch more theories.
It'll blow your mind. Or is it the ugly? Joke's on you, it's an RGB light in the sky.
Yeah, so the thing I don't like about this one I didn't like that zoom in, And
is this just nighttime?
Yeah, they may have switched on like some sort of nighttime recording mode, maybe. Yeah, I don't know why that light shift. So look how bright it is, and then it cuts off to dark again, and then that zoom in where it flicks again. There's too much going around with this video, so I would like toss it in the garbage and say,
like it just like blurs out. I mean, it's somebody zooming in. I can see,
someone zooming in, they could be messing with the different lighting and brightness settings on their.
It could be like a Snapchat filter.
Yeah, and
it's so just sitting there. It's not actually moving.
And then boom, back to daytime, It's very weird.
Yeah.
I can't. Anytime you start throwing in filters or anything like that, I gotta like automatically throw it in the bin. I can't spend time in thinking about this because there's already something altered about it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that
Right.
looks like a Snapchat filter.
All right, well, go to number 3.
Coming back. It's back. It's back. It's back. It's back. I see it. I see it.
Oh, I was looking at the tree, the lit up tree. So a floating orb in the sky. That could be a satellite or a plane easily.
Oh, that was awesome.
Do you see how it just teleported?
No way.
And just
Please tell me you
disappeared?
saw-
No, I literally lagged out for a second. Let me replay it.
Oh, that was awesome. No way. Please tell me you saw that. I recorded it.
Well, I have to watch it again. Hold on. So what am I? I'm looking at this. There's like 2
So you
lights.
see that?
here.
You see the first light.
Yeah.
It starts fading. This other star or the other light starts
That
going.
was awesome.
So I don't think that's a teleport.
No way. Please tell me you saw that.
If I think,
recorded it.
okay, if I'm being realistic, I think you have 2 planes that are flying circles around an airport, and they're both changing heading after they receive their orders from the tower, and so that light gets turned away from you, and now you're not seeing it. That's my
Yeah,
best guess.
and the guy says he's seen it. Like where he's pointed out. Oh, there it is again.
Do you know where this is from?
That one is from South Florida.
South Florida. Am I about to go
October
rainbow?
25th, 2024.
Coming back.
Alright. I don't see any city. Okay.
I see it. I see it.
I mean, there's lights in the background that could be like just lit up. Those just look like lit up trees, though. I'm wondering if it's Florida, so it's flat, so there's no elevation. So
Mhm.
there could be a city all the way down there somewhere. But I mean, if it's South Florida, it's Miami, and if it's Miami, there's plenty of air traffic.
That is true.
So I'm gonna go with pretty decent for number 1. Pretty bad. So the good is number 1. The bad is 2. No, sorry. The ugly is 2, and this is the bad.
Yeah, I would agree.
The good, the bad, the ugly.
The good, the bad, the ugly.
All right. Thank you all for tuning in and watching our ridiculous podcast that we love to do. Stay tuned and stay crazy.
Love you guys.